Hi guys, my name is PUTSY. Welcome back to my channel, and this video is going to be my March 2025 TBR. So I'm super excited for this month's TBR, but before we continue on, I'm just going to say very sorry about the glare from the back of me. I have a window back here and it's very glaringly bright, so I'm sorry if it kind of distracting you, but I don't have anywhere else to film at the moment. But back to the video, I'm super excited for this video because I feel like I've kind of nailed my TBR for the past 2 months in 2025. I really like all the books and all the prompts that I choose for my monthly TBR. I have specifically 5 prompts to base the book I'm gonna choose from. I'm going to make a slight change, but I feel like overall I really like the prompt that I chose, and I'm going to mention everything a little bit more when I get to the prompts because I already talked about it more in details in my January and February TBR. So if you want to know more about the specific prompts, why I chose those, go back and watch those videos. I'm going to link them down below. Why is it so loud outside? There's a lot of bird noise outside. If you can hear that, sorry, that's Australian bird. Very loud, not beautiful at all. It's kind of annoying and weird. I hope the mic doesn't pick those up, but go back to the video again. I'm going to choose my books based on those same prompts, but I think every single month I'm going to choose the book slightly differently because in January I chose almost all of them using a random wheel generator. I think it's from the pickerwheel.com. So I have a list of books based on each prompts, and then I put all the books that I have on those lists into the picker wheel, and then I just click choose. It chooses the book randomly for me. That way I feel I kind of have to read them, because if I don't do that, I will just keep pushing it off and choose other things. So I decided to use that, and in February I chose them slightly differently because I already go back to Australia. Now I'm currently in Australia. For January I was in Indonesia visiting my parents, so I decided I went to my local Perth library and I just perused around the library trying to see which books are available in there that are also on my list of books that I want to read based on each prompts. I was only able to find 2 books based on those 5 prompts, and all the other 3 I chose either just based on my moods or whatever available on my Libby, and also use the random wheel again. So it's going to be slightly different each month, but for March specifically, I think I will just choose most of them based on the availability. I already borrowed or tried to borrow a bunch of stuff from my local library, from my Libby, because I also have a couple of library link to my Libby account, and also just whatever I can find available for me, and then choose based on that and just see whether it fits any specific category or not. So I already chose I think 3 or 4 of them, but I'm going to choose the other one using the random wheel generator again. So super excited for that. I already have the list with me, but also I'm going to post my February wrap up in a couple of days after this video. So if you want to watch that video, make sure to subscribe. Again, shameless promo again and again, sorry for that, but I really want to get more subscriber this year. I hope I can get monetized. That's my 2025 goal and dream. So if you want to help me out, make sure to subscribe. I just want to talk about the TBR for a second. I'm going to mention it again in that video, but as I said, I'm going to choose 5 books for every single of my monthly TBR. But last month I was only able to read I'm going to look at my list here, sorry. I have my iPad. I'm just going to look up. I suddenly forgot. I already kind of memorized it, but I forgot. Actually, for February, I think I have obviously chosen 5 books based on 5 prompts, but I have one honorable mention because I already started to read or listen to that book, and I managed to read 4 of them. I hope I can change that in March and read more than 3 out of 5 or 4 out of 6, but we'll see. I'm hoping for a slightly better read, but I also read a lot of books in February, so I'm not mad at all. But let's just get into my March TBR. So the first prompt is my physical TBR. I went ahead and list every single book that I own back in my old bedroom in Indonesia, in my parents' house. I list every single thing. I just want to know which book I have read, which book I haven't read, and the amount of book that I haven't read is alarmingly worrying because I think I have like 240 or 250 books back home, and out of 250, I only read close to 100. So I have more books that I haven't read than I actually have read. So that's an alarming amount of books that I haven't read. So I decided I want to make sure that I tackle those downs and cut down the amount of books I've read based on my physical TBR significantly in 2025. I don't know if I used the words correctly. I kind of like blank out there for a second in the middle of the sentence, but I think that's a correct sentence. Anyway, I list everything. I have all the lists with me, and for this prompt specifically, I decided to also go back to my library, look around and see whatever available. I have one specific book in mind, but it wasn't available back then when I went to the library, so I decided to just put a hold on it and wait until they're available, and they are actually available for me to pick up like a week ago, but I had so many books I already borrowed and I have to read at that time. So I'm glad that I actually have this book for March. Now I can put it in my monthly TBR. I actually have started this book last night. So I'm kind of cheating, but I'm only just gotten to page 45, so barely start because it's kind of on the thicker side for romance book. I think it has like 420 something pages. This is Daydream by Hannah Grace. It's the third book from the Maple Hill series. It's an interconnected standalone romance series. Adult, quite steamy actually, so don't let the cover fool you. It's actually really steamy. A young adult college romance book, sports romance about ice hockey player, and the main male character from this book. I think a lot of people have been waiting for his book specifically because he's always there, and a lot of people really interested in his character. He's very artistic, more on the quieter side, but also very good at hockey, quite more gentlemanly, and I don't think he's ever been in a serious relationship, and very introvert. Overall, just very interesting character, I think. And the main female character, I don't think we have seen her before because I don't really remember her at all. But, oh, by the way, the main male character is Henry, if you don't know, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people have read this book. So it's about Henry and, wait, right? It's Hale? Yeah, Hale, which I'm very excited to read because as you can see on the cover, she's a Swiftie. Folklore Cardigan, also a huge reader. I think she kind of hosts a book club in her local library. They are all going to the same college. She just got out of a relationship. She doesn't really have friends. She's also, I think, very, very introvert and a little bit more, maybe more socially anxious compared to Henry. She doesn't really have many friends. I think for the longest time, she only has friends because of her ex. She only go out with her ex friend group, and now it's time for her to finally just step out of her comfort zone, find friends, live her college life instead of feeding her schedule and her activities around her ex. She decided she's going to try a bunch of something new and say yes to more things. So she decided to join the book club, or more like host the book club, and she also started a new job. She met Henry. She also know Aurora, the main male character from the second book. She is also very, very, very much a people pleaser. She always say yes to everything. A lot of people always depend on her. What? I suddenly cannot pronounce that word. A lot of people depend on her because she always say yes. No one has really asked her, can you do this? A lot of people just assume, oh, she can do that because she always say yes before. And she's an older daughter, second child, but an older daughter, and her parents just always delegate the task of taking care of her younger sisters to her. Like, she just always put everyone else's need before hers. And I feel like this is going to be the book for me because I'm very much people pleaser. I always struggle with that, and I think the past 2-3 years since I moved to Australia especially has really pushed me to change and to start saying no more. I've gotten the same advice from quite a few people about please start saying no to people, don't let people like walk all over you, and I've gotten very much burned before because of that. Last year I had a terrible experience because people use that to their advantage and use that against me, and I need to change. And I hope this book can kind of be my personal like therapy, and maybe it will give me more of an insight as to how like to change that. Maybe, hopefully. But I feel like if I can connect to a book, I will probably like it more. I feel like we have that same experience. If you can connect more to the character, you usually end up liking it more if it's done well. So hopefully it will be done really well to like around that topic. I feel like I can see myself already in Henry as well, not just Aurora. Oh, sorry, Aurora. That's from the second book. Not just from Hale. I feel like I can see myself in each of them, and that's kind of terrifying because I read books like this in January, which is just for the summer, and Happy Place, and I kind of saw myself in each of the main characters. I love both of those books a lot, but it was also kind of hard to get through because it made me very emotional and it really felt like a therapy. So I feel like I'm gonna get the same experience with this book, but I have high hopes for this, especially because I love the first two books, Icebreaker and Wildfire, from this series a lot. I think both of them were in my top 24 books of 2024. Like, I love both of them a lot, so I'm pretty sure, I hope I will also love this book. Who knows, maybe it will be my favorite out of the three. So for the second book of the month, it's based on my 2025 TBR. I posted that video in January. I have 25 books I want to read specifically in 2025. More like 50 books really, because I mentioned a lot of series, but I'm super excited regardless. They are all series or titles that I really want to read in the past couple of years but haven't been able to. It's the second book from the Inheritance game series. It's the Hawthorne Legacy from Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I have this book physically, and I read the first book physically as well. So in my mind, I always like, oh, I want to read the second book physically as well. I don't want to buy the second book. Like, why would I? Because I already have the hardcover version of it back in Indonesia. But every time I went there, I never actually picked this book up, and I don't want to bring this with me because it's heavy. And I always never find this book physically in my Perth library, so I just never actually continue on with the series, even though I really want to, because I like the first book a lot. But anyway, back to the second book. So I keep looking around for this. Turns out my Perth library doesn't have this book physically, so I decided to look for it on my Libby account, and I finally found one in my other library account. I think it's from Miami. So I borrowed this book. It was available. I'm so happy because I've been wanting to continue on with this series for the longest time. But I really want to finish at least the first three books in this series in 2025. I still kind of remember like the major plot of the first book, but I kind of forget the details. I don't even remember the name of the main characters actually. I just know that there's three main guys from the Hawthorne family, and then there's our main female character who just got an inheritance out of nowhere from the grandfather, or I think the grandfather, like, of those three guys. And that there will be also a romance plot in the series as well between her and the brothers. I don't know which one. I think it will be like a love triangle or love square or something like that. I don't know. I'm very excited. I think we already kind of seen that a little bit in the first book, but I don't really remember. So hopefully, without rereading the first book, I can kind of get back into the story and the universe and the romance plot as well as soon as I read the second book, hopefully. So yeah, excited. The third prompt is based on my new anticipated releases. I also have made a video of my most anticipated releases for the first half of 2025. For each month, I have a couple of books. So for the first 2 months, I actually wasn't able to read any of the books that I put from this prompt because it was really hard for me to get those books because I'm in the middle of a book buying ban. For the whole entire 2025, I really don't want to buy books. I just want to get use out of my Libby and library accounts, and I also want to cut down my physical TBR, just read books from my Kindle if I can, from Kindle Unlimited. I know it would be a little bit difficult for me to get around that. So far, it's been working well. For me, I'm always able to find books for my other prompt, but not for my new releases, because a lot of people really want to read new books right? So hundreds on the line. So I have 6 to 8 week wait period for the book to be available for me. So I wasn't able to get to the book from my January and February TBR in time. I already read the books I put in my January TBR in February, and I think I will read the book I put in my February TBR this month, which was Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. I managed to get a hold of it last, like, I think 2 weeks ago or a few days ago, I don't remember, on my Libby. So super excited for that. So I don't know if I will be reading any of this book this month, but just for the sake of the video, I don't know, maybe I will change it around for next month. Instead of books from the current month, maybe I should put new books from last month. That way it will be a little bit easier for me to get. But for this month specifically, I have Oathbound by Tracy Dion, which is the third book from the Legendborn series, which I for sure will not be able to read because I haven't read the second book. I have read the first book, unless I get to the second book in time or quite fast, I don't know, but I'm not sure, so I won't be choosing that. And then the second book is Wild Side by Elsie Silver. This is the third book within that Wild Love, Wild Something series. Haven't read the first two, so I'm not gonna be reading the third one for sure. But I really want to read this. Like, I really want to get into Elsie Silver in 2025. Hopefully, I will be able to somewhere down the line. So I don't know, but yeah, the other two books that I have in my anticipated releases for March is Fable for the End of the World by Ava Reed, and This Book Will Bury Me by Ashley Winstead. I think both of these books will be released towards the end of the month, so I'm not sure if I will be able to get to them in time anyway, because I only have a couple of days and I don't know if I will be able to find it, but I will for sure try to find one. But just for the sake of the video, I think I will put Fable for the End of the World by Ava Reed. I haven't read anything by her before, but I'm super excited. I really like the cover. Honestly, I chose this book specifically because of the cover, but I know a lot of people like her books before, so I'm super excited for that. And I think I also saw on my Libby account, or I think on my library, they already ordered this book and I already put a hold on it, and I was the only one put a hold on this book. So hopefully I will be able to get this book in time and read it in March, who knows. So yeah, so for the fourth one is based on my Kindle Unlimited. So technically you can borrow 20 books all at once if you have Kindle Unlimited, and I always have 20 books on my Kindle. I always borrow 20 books all at the same time. If I finish reading a book, I will always immediately borrow a new one. The bad thing about that is I always end up reading whatever book I just borrowed, and then I left with all the other 18 or 17 books I haven't read that I already borrowed from years ago. So that's bad. So I really want to make sure this year that I read every single one from my Kindle Unlimited before I borrow a new one, unless I get that book somewhere, physical TBR 2025 TBR, and it's available on my Kindle Unlimited, then I will borrow them. But I will not borrow any new books into my Kindle Unlimited unless I finish the list first, to make sure that I actually read the books I want to read 3 years ago that I have in there. So, and I already put all the books I have to the Picker Wheel website just to make the video slightly shorter, but I'm just gonna mention all the books quickly. I have Quicksilver by Kali Hart, Noir Moon by Elliot Rose, Beautiful Fiend by Lola King, Foxglove, Thorn, Chiron, Raven by Elliot Rose, King of Greed by Anna Huang, A Thousand Broken Pieces by Tilly Cole, The Graham Effect by Elle Kennedy, Things We Had From the Light by Lucy Score, Tempt Me by Kay Tucker, The Frat Boy by Nikki Sloan, Hidden a Game by by this author, The Words by A. Jade, The Ritual by Chantal Tessier, Jessica Hawkins, Something in the Way by Jessica Hawkins, Sicko by Emma Jones, Long Shot by Kennedy Ryan, Indigo Ridge by Daphne Perry, Brutal Prince by Sophie Lark, and God of Pain by Rena Kent. I have 19 books still in my Kindle Unlimited because I wasn't able to read the books I put in this prompt on February, which was The Words by AJ, and I wasn't able to read Quicksilver by Kali Hart in January as well, so I wasn't able to read any of my new anticipated releases and Kindle Unlimited on time. That's bad. I really want to change that, so hopefully this month I will be able to read them, and the book that are chosen are the book that I'm in the mood for. Hopefully, fingers crossed. So yeah, like I said, I already have the website, the list here, and I'm just gonna Wait, I'm just gonna hit spin. Let's hope it's something I'm in the mood for. Whatever it is. Something in a way. I think it's a thicker book. Oh, anyway, it's Something in a Way by Jessica Hawkins. I don't know what this book is about, but I remember 2 years ago or 3 years ago, a lot of people actually just keep raving about this book. I think based on the cover, it's supposed to be sad, but I also think it's kind of giving a Binding 13 vibe, right? But slightly more taboo, if I'm not mistaken. Just based on my memory of it, I think that's what the book is. I think it's a sister's friend, sister's boyfriend, or neighbor, or something like that. I think it's supposed to be angsty. Yeah, but it's just adult romance story. I think it's taboo romance. I don't know if it's dark or not, but I think it will be sad, hopefully, because I'm in a mood for sad books. I'm always in a mood for sad books, actually. I love sad books, so just based on the cover, I think it will be sad, but who knows. But I'm super excited. And for the last prompt, this is the prompt that I actually kind of want to change because it's audiobook prompts. I feel like for the past year or two, every single month I always listen to at least one audiobook, and last month specifically I listened to a lot of audiobook. I'm getting even more and more obsessed with audiobook, especially since I moved to Australia, and now I'm going back to school. I don't really have a car here in Australia, even though I love driving, but I commute everywhere with either bus or train, so there's a lot of free time for me to read, and most of the time I prefer listening to an audiobook instead of reading physical books or my Kindle, because I don't want to miss my bus stop. So, but I do read my Kindle on bus as well, but most of the time I prefer audiobook. I always listen to at least one audiobook each month anyway, so it's kind of redundant for me, like to put a specific book in this category for my monthly TBR, because I feel like without me putting it in my TBR, I will still listen to it anyways. But just for the sake of this month, I'm still gonna put an audiobook here because I already have an audiobook in mind that will be available for me in March. But I think I'm just gonna put this as my honorable mention. So I'm gonna have 6 books this month as well, but next month I probably will completely cut down this prompt because yeah, I feel like it's kind of useless. But for this month, I already put a hold on Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Mellors. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. I've never read anything from her before. I think she only have 2 books out as of right now, but every time I saw her book in the bookstore, I always really want to read it, mainly because of the cover and the illustration style that she has for her covers. Like, I just love that kind of illustration. This is her first book, I believe. The second book is called Blue Sisters. I also really want to read that. I feel like for this type of book, I might like it more if I listen to the audiobook. I think it's a more character-driven story because based on the description, the writing style and the stories kind of remind a lot of people of Sally Rooney's writing. I haven't read to anything Sally Rooney. I really want to. Hopefully in 2025, I will at least read one of her books. I always want to. A lot of people either love them or hate them, but it's also very character-driven story instead of plot, and I'm the type of person who prefer plot-driven story. I read character-driven story before, but it's not always my favorite, but I really want to read her book. So hopefully by listening to her book, I will like it more, just to see if I like her writing style or not. And yeah, we'll see. I put a hold on it and it will be available in the next 2 weeks. So, and the last prompt, and also the prompt that I probably will put into my upcoming TBR for the rest of 2025 is next book in the series I'm in the middle of. I'm in the middle of a lot of series, whether it's romance, fantasy, every genre. I have more than 20 series, I'm pretty sure. Kind of embarrassing to see. I just, especially if it's not a fantasy series, I usually just start the first book and not finishing it, because if it's a full fantasy series, if the book is already out, I usually rather like binge read everything from start to finish, or at least space them out every month or something like that. I'd like to finish a series before I move on to another one, but since I started a lot of series that's not finished yet, whenever the next book come out, I always push it off, whether I'm not in the mood or I'm in the middle of something else, so I forget about it for that month, and then I just keep forgetting about it for for the next year. That happens quite often, obviously. Now I'm in the middle of a lot of series and I really want to change that. I want to read more series, but I want to also make sure I finish series that I'm in the middle of. So I decided, you know what, I think it's a good prompt to have on my monthly TBR. And the book I chose for this month's TBR based on this prompt is the next book on the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. I still have 2 books left, which is Tower of Dawn and Kingdom of Ash. I read the last book in December, and yes, I know I didn't do a tandem read, obviously. I don't know if that's a great choice or not, but I hope it is, because I think it's like confusing for me to do that. So hopefully I won't have trouble reading this, because I know it's in the like slower pace. And for Sarah J. Maas, that can be very concerning, because a lot of her books are usually very slow in the first half and then it gets really crazy in the second half. So if this book will be considered very slow pace, I don't know how slow it is going to be. It might be very, very slow, but hopefully I won't have trouble enjoying this book. Tower of Dawn it's in the same timeline as Queen of Shadows, which is why a lot of people decide to do a tandem read, but it's happened in a completely different side of the world, different set of characters. I think everything will start to come together again in Kingdom of Ash, the last book of the series. So I really want to read that after I finish Queen of Shadows, but then I got into a major reading slump, more like just slump in life in general. I was having a lot of anxieties and panic attacks and everything, so I wasn't really in the mood to read. I was still reading a lot of books, especially towards the end, but the first 2 weeks of January, I was just not really in the mood to read. I mean, I still read some books, but it took me a long time to finish one book. I'm just not in the mood for fantasy, because it needs a little bit more brain power for me to read fantasy books. Not that it's hard for me to comprehend, but I feel like I need to really put attention to a lot of the character, the details, the world, the magic system and everything. So it's not a very like easy to get through as like romance, for example. So I decided to wait until I'm fully in the mood to read fantasy books. I don't want to do it a disservice, especially since I know it's going to be a slower paced book. I just know if I'm not in the mood, I will probably hate it or not enjoy my time reading it, or have trouble to finish it or something like that. And I don't want to do that. I want to make sure I'm in the right mood, and it deserves that, because I love Throne of Glass series, especially the last 2 books that I've read. I wasn't so sure about the first few books in the series. Like, I liked them, but it wasn't really my favorite. I wasn't able to see what everyone else saw, like, because everyone is saying Throne of Glass is their #1 favorite series of fantasy series of all time, and I wasn't really feeling that. But the last 2 books really did something for me, and I think if these next 2 books will be as amazing or maybe better, which I think it will, especially Kingdom of Ash, I think it will have also the potential to be my favorite fantasy series of all time. So who knows, or at least in my top 3, because as of right now, I really liking it. I enjoy my time. I love the characters. I love the plot. I love the crazy world, the crazy thing, the war, whatever that's going on in this world, the magic system. It's just very, very entertaining, action-packed. The romance I love, the characters I love, the friendship. The main character is very badass, but also very vulnerable and very human at the same time, which is just complex, but very normal and powerful at the same time, multi-dimensional. And I love that, because sometimes a powerful character is just that very powerful. You don't really see all the vulnerability or the normal stuff that they go through, but we see a lot of that in this series. So I love that, and I hope I will like this book as much as I love the previous one. I don't think I will, because it's a slower paced book, but it's like more setting up the story for the finale. So yeah, I hope I will finish this book this month, so I can finally finish and get to Kingdom of Ash. I'm planning on maybe filming a reading vlog for the last 2 books of this series. I'm still kind of angry, like mad at myself that I wasn't like filming YouTube when I read the rest of the series. But anyway, cannot change that. It's already in the past. So hopefully I can maybe film a reading vlog for the finale, the last 2 books, maybe, if I'm in the mood. I hope I'm in the mood, because I really want to film that. Yeah. So those are all the 6 books I chose for my March TBR. To conclude it, I chose Daydream by Hannah Grace, The Hawthorne Legacy by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, Fable for the End of the World by Ava Reed, Something in a Way by Jessica Hawkins, Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Malors, and Tower of Dawn by Sarah J. Maas, which is the 7th book of the Throne of Glass series. And I'm super excited for all the books I have in my March TBR. Hopefully I can read every single one of them. I'm not so sure because I already have a lot of books also lined up on my Libby account. I hope I can get through at least 4 of them just like last month. Yeah, I'm super excited. Please let me know in the comment section down below what books are you going to read in March. What's your March TBR? Let me know in the comment section. I would love to know. And lastly, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. If you're still here, I don't know why, but thank you so much for watching. If you want to subscribe to my channel, that will be a huge help. I will be forever grateful for that. And I'm gonna see you in my next video, which is my February wrap up. So yeah, super excited for that because I read a lot of books in February, and I'll see you then if you want to watch that. Anyway, and yeah, again, thank you so much for watching. Bye guys.